It's wildfire season across North America, but where is the smoke going to go? I'm 5 News Chief Meteorologist Matt Standridge. Most of the fires are in the northern Rockies and some of them in the Sierra Nevada and parts of California, but most of them are in Montana, Idaho, Washington, and Oregon. And this black color shows you all the smoke that it's been thrown up into the atmosphere, and as the winds carry it, it spreads and it heads eastbound across much of the U.S. heartland and the northern plains. For this week, expect several rounds of this smoke to hit many Americans in the northern half of the U.S., and sometimes the smoke may be able to drift a little bit farther south. And as that smoke comes in, you're going to get hazier sunsets. A lot of times they look a little bit more burnt orange. Moon rises and moon sets may also have a little bit of extra orange color right above the horizon. Sometimes the smoke is able to make its way to the surface level, but a lot of it is lofted up a few thousand feet up into the air, but some of it may be able to impact some of those who are a little bit more sensitive. So let's talk about for this week, where is the smoke going to go? Well, let's start where it's even coming from in the first place. Most of these fires, you can see by the colors, the black generally is the smoke, and then when you get some of these burn spots with a little bit of that white and fiery orange and red, that's where we have some of those largest wildfires. But we also have some fires off towards the south too, north of Lake Tahoe, a little bit east of Carson City. Then we have more there in parts of eastern Nevada. But the biggest fires are farther north in the parts of Oregon, some of them just outside the Cascades there on the eastern slopes of the Cascades, and then a lot in eastern Washington and Montana. We've gotten a lot of fires near Missoula and Helena, and then north of Boise, we've got some of those fires too. With that westerly wind, mainly from west to east, that wind is blowing the smoke into eastern Montana, and then the jet stream starts to move things around, and some of the smoke goes north, some of it goes east, and some of it starts to go south. So let's take a look at the central United States. For Tuesday evening and into Wednesday, a lot of the smoke will continue to cover the Dakotas, Minnesota, Wisconsin, south into parts of the Arkansas River Valley, Missouri River Valley too, there through Kansas City, and some of that smoke even reaching the Ozarks and the Ouachitas. But the bulk of the smoke, the thickest smoke, you're looking at hazier skies, will stay off towards the north. This plume is going to move eastbound towards the Great Lakes. So Chicago, Indianapolis, Cleveland, Detroit, Columbus, and Grand Rapids will really start to get the smoke, while southern regions kind of just get skimmed by a little bit of that thinner smoke. So you get a little bit of haze, but it's really not too bad. But the worst air quality impacts will probably be farther towards the north. But once again, the worst air quality is closer where the actual fires are. But sometimes some of those smoke particles can make their way towards the surface. But a lot of the northern U.S. heartland, the Corn Belt, the dairy regions will be getting a lot of that smoke. This is Wednesday morning. By Wednesday afternoon and heading into Thursday, this plume will continue to move off towards the east. We may get a break from some of the fires with more reigniting and producing more smoke. They kind of go in waves. It's not always just constant, depending on the fires, of course, too. But this is the big plume that's going to move eastbound and eventually hit the New England area later this week, more into Thursday and Friday, maybe even to parts of this weekend. So much of the northern U.S. will continue to get the smoke, while parts of the southern U.S., we get maybe a taste of it. A lot of the times it's really not going to be all that noticeable, but there may be some smoke lingering across Arkansas and Oklahoma, parts of Missouri too, maybe east into Tennessee and Kentucky. But it all has to do with the jet stream. We're going to take a look at the jet stream in a moment, but for places that are not in the thick of the smoke, this is what it looks like. This is a picture from Arkansas. This is northwest Arkansas in Fayetteville, Lake Fayetteville. This is a moonrise. So moonrises were about 9 o'clock. This was actually taken Monday evening. It was around 9 o'clock, but when the moon started to come up, notice how just fiery orange it just looked. Now, of course, once the moon gets higher in the sky, it turns a lot wider, but this is the effect of that smoke that helps produce that orangey, that burnt orangey color for those moonrises and moonsets, and then, of course, sunrises and sunsets as well. I want to show you where the jet stream is headed for the next couple of days, because that directly impacts where the smoke is going to go. We've got a dip in the jet stream across the west, but then once you head to the central United States and the eastern United States, we've kind of got this zonal flow. So once the smoke is picked up by the jet stream, a lot of it is going to stay farther towards the north. We don't have major dips in the jet stream that come towards the south. We get a little bit farther south from Kansas City and parts of Arkansas and Oklahoma, but the thickest is going to be closer to where the jet stream is. And this is not going to change all that much throughout the week. We're going to get little kinks in the atmosphere. And sometimes, it dips a little bit farther south, but generally, north from Kansas City, basically north of I-70. So from I-70 northbound across the U.S., that's generally where we're going to have most of the smoke, just because the little perturbations in the jet stream are going to just be farther north, while the southern U.S. just kind of stays hot and humid for the next several days. It's got a lot of high pressure. That's going to keep most of the smoke towards the north. But otherwise, wildfire season is here, and it's just going to be something we got to talk about over and over again as smoke is thrown up into the atmosphere and the jet stream carries it and blankets it across the skies for most Americans for the next couple of months.